I cannot believe what I am seeing right now on my timeline, and honestly, my heart is racing, because this could be the one move that finally puts our defense over the top. We have been waiting for that final piece, that absolute monster in the middle to anchor everything DeMeco Ryans is building here in Houston. Just when we thought the roster was set, a massive name has hit the trade block, and the links to the Texans are getting louder by the second. If Nick Caserio pulls this off, the rest of the AFC South is officially in deep trouble. You need to stick around because this situation is developing fast, and the implications for our cap space and future are absolutely massive. Dexter Lawrence has officially requested a trade from the New York Giants after contract negotiations reached a complete standstill, and the Houston Texans are being named as a primary destination for the All-Pro defensive tackle. This news sent shockwaves through the league today because players of this caliber rarely become available in their absolute prime. Lawrence is a mountain of a man who transforms any defensive front he joins, and his frustration with the Giants' front office has reached a breaking point. He wants a long-term extension that reflects his status as one of the most dominant interior forces in the NFL, but New York seems hesitant to meet his price tag. This is where things get incredibly exciting for us fans in Houston. We have the draft capital and the winning culture that players are dying to be a part of right now. Imagine Lawrence lining up alongside our young pass rushers. It would be an absolute nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. But here is the catch that everyone is talking about. The Texans are currently evaluating the financial impact of such a massive trade. While we have some flexibility, bringing in a player who wants to be among the highest paid at his position requires some serious salary cap gymnastics. Nick Caserio has been conservative with the long-term books, but the opportunity to land a generational talent like this doesn't come around often. The report suggests that Lawrence specifically views Houston as a place where he can win immediately while getting the respect he deserves. This isn't just a rumor anymore. It is a formal request that puts the Giants in a corner. They either pay him or they move him, and right now, moving him seems like the only path forward. The Texans' front office has been quiet, but insiders suggest the phones are already ringing. This move would signify that we are no longer just building for the future. We are building to win a Super Bowl right now. However, there are two major hurdles standing in the way of this deal being finalized today. One involves a rival player who might be setting the market price even higher, and the other is a concern about Lawrence's recent health record that has some scouts feeling nervous. You won't believe how these two factors are complicating what should be a straightforward trade, and if Caserio isn't careful, this could turn into a massive gamble that could haunt the franchise for years. Before we dive into the medical concerns and that second mystery player involved in this market shift, do me a huge favor. If you love the Texans and want to see this defense become elite, hit that subscribe button and like this video. We are tracking every single update on the Dexter Lawrence situation, so don't miss out on what happens next. Quinnen Williams is the name that is actually making this entire Dexter Lawrence situation much more complicated for the Houston Texans right now. See, the market for elite defensive tackles has been completely reset by the recent deals across the league, and Williams' standing with the Jets is the benchmark Lawrence is using for his own demands. If the Texans trade for Lawrence, they aren't just giving up draft picks. They are committing to a contract that would likely mirror or exceed what top-tier guys like Williams are commanding. This creates a massive ripple effect in our locker room. We have young stars who will need their own extensions soon, and Caserio has to balance the immediate impact of Lawrence with the long-term sustainability of the roster. But here is the thing that really keeps me up at night: the medical reports. There have been whispers about Lawrence's recent injury history that haven't been fully publicized yet. While he looks like a tank on the field, some evaluators are worried about his long-term durability if he's asked to play the high volume of snaps that DeMeco Ryans demands from his interior linemen. We saw what happened last year when our depth was tested, and the last thing we need is to trade away our future for a player who might struggle to stay on the field for a full 17-game season plus a deep playoff run. Yet when you watch the film, it's hard not to drool. Lawrence is a one-man wrecking crew who demands double teams on every single play. If you put him in our system, he frees up everyone else. The question is whether the Texans are willing to pay the Quinnen Williams price while taking on the medical risk. Sources say the Giants are asking for at least a first-round pick and a mid-round selection to even start the conversation. That is a king's ransom for a defensive tackle, especially one with a looming contract dispute. Caserio has been hit or miss with these high-profile moves in the past, and the fan base is divided. Some say go all in and get the superstar, while others are terrified of repeating past mistakes. The internal debate in the Texans' war room must be intense right now because this decision will define the next 3 years of this franchise. If they pass and he goes to a rival, we will regret it forever. But if they trade for him and he breaks down, it's a disaster. The context of our current defense makes this move even more polarizing because we are already on the upward trajectory, but we lack that specific identity in the trenches. Looking at the AFC landscape, you have to be able to stop the run and pressure the quarterback from the inside to beat the heavy hitters like the Chiefs or the Ravens. Dexter Lawrence provides exactly that, but the financial footprint he leaves behind is massive. If we bring him in, we might have to sacrifice elsewhere. Maybe we can't bring back a key veteran, or we have to be extremely cheap in free agency for the next 2 years. Is a dominant defensive tackle worth more than overall roster depth? That is the million-dollar question Nick Caserio has to answer. My emotional side is screaming, yes, get the guy. Because players like Lawrence don't just change games. They change the way opponents have to game plan against you. They make your cornerbacks better because the quarterback has no time to throw. They make your linebackers faster because they aren't taking on blocks. The impact would be felt on every single level of our defense. However, the future of the Texans depends on smart building around our rookie-scale quarterback. We have this window right now where we can afford a big contract, but it has to be the right one. If Lawrence is healthy and motivated, he is worth every penny. If those injury concerns are real, we could be looking at a massive anchor on our salary cap. I keep thinking about how this defense looked in the playoffs last year and where we fell short. We needed a disruptor. We needed a guy who could take over a series. Lawrence is that guy. The fans are hungry for a championship, and this feels like a championship caliber move. But the risk of his foot issues and the sheer volume of the contract is enough to make any GM sweat. We are at a crossroads where one phone call to New York could change the history of the Houston Texans. Every beat writer is waiting for the news to break, and the anticipation in Houston is at an all-time high. It feels like we are on the verge of something historic, or something that we will be debating on sports talk radio for the next decade. The clock is ticking, and the Giants aren't going to wait forever. Ultimately, this isn't just about adding a player. It's about the Houston Texans making a statement to the entire NFL that our rebuilding phase is over, and we are officially hunting for a trophy. Trading for Dexter Lawrence would be the loudest statement Nick Caserio has ever made. It shows that we trust DeMeco Ryans to take a superstar and turn this unit into the best defense in the league. It's a move that says we aren't afraid of the big stage or the big contracts anymore. But with that comes the immense pressure of expectation. If we do this, the goal is no longer just winning the division. It is a Super Bowl or bust. That is a heavy weight for a young team to carry. But maybe it is exactly the kind of pressure this locker room needs to reach the next level. We've seen other teams go all in and fail, but we've also seen it lead to glory. As a fan, I want to see us take the swing. I want to see the Texans be aggressive and land the big fish. But I want to hear from you. Do you think the injury risk and the massive contract demand are too much? Or should we give up whatever it takes to bring Dexter Lawrence to H-Town? Is he the missing piece to a Super Bowl ring, or is this a trap that will ruin our cap space? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one of them. Don't forget to subscribe so you're the first to know if the trade official announcement drops tonight. This is a defining moment for our franchise, and I'm glad we're all in this together. Go Texans, and let's hope Caserio makes the right call for our future. This could change everything.